Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Putt.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Josh Poet with you here. So happy Merry Christmas to everyone around the world celebrating. Today's Christmas Eve. Getting ready for Christmas Day here. All right, let's jump into our cosmic weather for today, see what we have to deal with. Starting off over at spaceweather.com, we could see that our solar wind is currently 332.1 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index at the moment is a 1. It doesn't seem to be projected to be any higher than that. Next 24 hours, planetary or coronal holes, all right, about the same as it was. And chance for flares, really nothing much to be concerned about at this point in time. Let's take a look at this notice up here. Talks about the far side's eruptions. We heard about last week, not Earth-facing, so nothing of any immediate concern. And then we do see that there is, as NOAA forecasters estimate, a 10 to 20% chance of polar geomagnetic storms on the 24th in response to a CRE, or a correlating interaction region. It's a boundary between fast and slow-moving streams in the solar wind. Crossing a CIR, as Earth will do on Christmas Eve, can spark magnetic storms and auroras. So if you have a camera, get that ready. You might check out and see something cool in the sky. Now, astrologically, we are right here. Our sun sign has moved now. We are in Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign. An earth sign. Earth sign deals with practical issues, physical things. In the tarot cards, the card of Capricorn is represented by the tarot card of the devil. Now, it's not necessarily about evil things because it simply represents the physical world. However, there's a secret behind the card because the Hebrew letter attached to the tarot card is ayin, which is seeing past the illusion. So despite what is going on in the physical world, we are challenged to look deeper beneath the surface. And isn't that the message overall that Jesus had, or any of the enlightened masters, that there is the physical world going on, but our objective is to not get caught up in the physical world, but to keep our focus on the spiritual? So that being the case, Capricorn is our challenge. What are we going to look at? And with the holiday Christmas season, sure, there's a lot of gift giving that goes on, a lot of charity and good things that happen. But the whole idea of the season is about the spirituality of the event, and oftentimes that is lost in the event. And so the challenge, again, for that Capricorn energy is to not get caught up in all of that physical, but to remember the spiritual story behind everything. Our moon sign for today is in Taurus, which is also an earth sign. Taurus is about the practicality of things as well. So we're dealing with earth and earth today, double earth. How we can bring things, manifest things in the physical world. So both conscious and unconscious mind is focused in that direction today. Our moon phase is just about up to a full moon. We're 88% of the way there. And in the Mayan Oracle, we've moved into a new wave spell. This is the wave spell of the moon. We're at the second day in that, which is the dog, the lunar dog. The phrase is, I polarize in order to love, stabilizing loyalty. I seal the process of heart with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of spirit. And we can see we are in a galactic activation portal day. Right over, where are we at here? We are right over, where did it go? Where did it go? Right here. I'm having trouble finding it right here. Two dog. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, there we go. Looking in the wrong place. Right here. Okay, Galactic Activation Portal Day. Alright, and you can see that this is opposite of where this was, which is why it's balancing it out. Alright, on the Gregorian calendar, it is the 24th of December, 2012. So, here we are. We have now moved several days past the beginning of the new cycle. We are into a new cycle, and we have an opportunity to create something new during this phase. Now, I know that there's been a lot of talk about how the last cycle went and what ended, and a lot of talk about UFOs. So we're going to turn our attention for our first story today in relation to the UFO topic. This is Richard Dolan. It is a piece about the UFO cover-up, and I want to get started with this because the UFO story is part of our future, and we're going to need to know more about this. And if we know why they're covering it up, it'll help us to understand a little bit more what's going on. So let's check it out.
Hello, I'm Richard Dolan. I'm an author and historian on the topic of UFOs. Today I've got a treat for you. The UFO cover-up in 10 minutes. UFO cover-up? Preposterous, you say? Guess again. That might have been an argument people could make 20, maybe 30, maybe 50 years ago. We now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the UFO problem engaged the attention of some very, very high-level people throughout every single decade of this nation's history from World War II onward. But we didn't know for sure until the mid-1970s, when we had a Freedom of Information Act that finally got some teeth in the United States. The big surprise about freedom of information was the fact that UFO researchers started to petition and receive thousands of pages of UFO-related documents from their government. I want to read to you a couple of choice excerpts from some of these documents that we now have in the public domain. Here's a great one. 1947, September 23rd, from U.S. General Nathan Twining, a 3-star general at the time. He later went on to be a 4-star general and Chief of Staff for the United States Air Force. It is the opinion that the phenomenon reported is something real and not visionary or fictitious. The reported operating characteristics, such as extreme rates of climb, maneuverability, particularly in roll, and action which must be considered evasive when sighted, lend belief to the possibility that some of the objects are controlled either manually, automatically, or remotely. He describes 6 common characteristics that military observers were reporting about these objects. Metallic or light reflecting surface, circular or elliptical in shape, flat on bottom and domed on top. Ask yourself, what kind of aircraft in 1947 is flying around that's supposed to look like that? Here's another memo from the FBI, 1949. Officers of G2, that's Army Intelligence, have discussed the matter of unidentified aircraft, otherwise known as flying discs, flying saucers, balls of fire. This matter is considered top secret by intelligence officers of both the Army and the Air Forces. Oh, this is a great one. 1951, Robins Air Force Base out of Georgia. A pilot flying out of the base reported an object fly by his aircraft. Object described as flat on top and bottom and appearing from a front view to have rounded edges and slightly beveled. What? One of the interesting things about UFOs in the history of this country, 1952, a very big year. Why? Well, for one, it seemed like the entire nation was being invaded by UFOs. Civilians and military people alike around the country were watching these things. Military people reported them a lot. This is a memo from the Director of Scientific Intelligence for the CIA to the Director of the agency, Walter Beadle Smith, in December 1952. And this is what it says. At this time, the reports of incidents convince us that there is something going on that must have immediate attention. sightings of unexplained objects at great altitudes and traveling at high speeds in the vicinity of major U.S. defense installations are of such nature that they are not attributable to natural phenomena or known types of aerial vehicle. It's the CIA. People don't just come out and say, boss, I think we're being invaded. But that's about as close as you're going to get in a classified memo to the director of the Central Intelligence Agency in 1952. It gets better. This is a document from 1976, United States Defense Intelligence Agency reporting about an amazing UFO encounter over the city of Tehran in Iran. Now remember, this is back in the days of the Shah, when Iran was a key U.S. ally. What happened is that on September 18, 1976, citizens of Tehran looked up in the sky and saw a very bizarre object. No one knew what it was, an extremely bright, unidentified flying object. Finally, the traffic controller went out and looked and saw, sure enough, a very bizarre object. He called the Iranian Air Force. Next thing you know, not one but two F-4 fighter jets are scrambled to investigate and intercept the object. In both cases, in succession, each F-4 jet got within 25 nautical miles of the object. The pilots saw the object. They tracked it on radar. It gave a very large radar return. And in both cases, key electronics and aviation equipment went offline on these top-level aircraft. Not once, but twice. In the second instance, a really extraordinary encounter occurred when this object detached a smaller object from it, which then pursued the F-4 interceptor. The pilot pulled an extreme turn to get away from the object, and this small object turned inside his own arc and then rejoined the mother craft for a perfect rejoin. That's 1976. What can do that today, much less 35 years ago? Well, officially speaking, we don't really know. Unofficially, I think we do know. These are advanced technology that is not being operated, officially at least, by our own civilization. And therein lies the problem with the UFO phenomenon. Everyone in the world knows there's something going on, and no one in official power is ever willing to admit it. There are people who are so hide-bound in their opinions and so skeptical about this without bothering to look at any of the evidence that they will say, well, the government did look into this. The government did have Project Blue Book. They investigated it. They found there was really nothing to this. I heard that there was a scientific investigation, too, that also debunked UFOs. That explanation to this day is used by the Air Force and by the government to dismiss the whole topic of UFOs. But here's the deal. Project Blue Book, a joke of an operation. I have a letter here from 1955 to the commander at Ent Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado, about UFO reports. In keeping with the purposes of the UFOB program, in this case UFOB means UFO, it is necessary to strive to reach as many case solutions as possible, thereby reducing the percentage of unknowns to a bare minimum. Not a minimum, a bare minimum. As pointed out in the UFOB guide, the word solution cannot always be used in the scientific sense when dealing with UFOBs. For this purpose, it must more often mean that a given case meets a given hypothesis. If it looks like it might be a flock of birds, you don't have to bother investigating, just put down birds and it's solved. Here's a picture of the Blue Book staff in the early to mid-1960s. Do they inspire your confidence? What I'm really digging is the poster in the back of the solar system. Yeah, that'll help investigate UFO cases. And we're told that they investigated a total of 12,618 sightings, and only 701 remained unidentified. Look, I'll tell you right now, those people didn't do one investigation that was worth a damn. And then there's the study of UFOs by the University of Colorado back in the 1960s, otherwise known as the Condon Committee. There's a picture of Edward Condon. You can see how seriously he takes the topic of UFOs. The funny thing about the Condon Committee report is that the scientists who were involved in it began to suspect that this was a rigged game right from the beginning. A few of them confronted Condon about this, in which he admitted to them that yes, there was not going to be an affirmative conclusion coming out of this report no matter what. Shortly after that, there was a mutiny on the project, and half the scientific members were thrown right off the Condon Committee. Another group was scrabbled together. They threw together the big report, in which, amazingly anyway, 30% of those were unidentified cases. And what was the conclusion? Edward Condon told you, keep things moving along, people, nothing to see here. That is the scientific foundation, if you can believe it, as to why your government continues to this day to deny that there is a UFO reality worth investigating, to which we say, bullcrap. One more thing for fun that we could look at. Let's fast forward to 1997. Here's a U.S. Air Force general telling you exactly what happened in Roswell in 1947.
That period of time, dummies were dropped all around there. And I think it's logical to assume that the people there saw Air Force ambulances come out, they saw gurneys come out, they saw body bags come out because the dummies were put into body bags to protect them.
We all kind of know what an alien's supposed to look like, and that doesn't look like an alien to me. If you really think you're going to be confused by a 6-foot dummy, then you're a dummy. There's something happening that's beyond our current capabilities that might be a problem to explain to the world. The problem with that, however, is that the world is moving along a little too fast. The UFO secrecy, very soon, is going to be a thing of the past. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This is the UFO News for today, so let's continue on with a few more stories. All right, our first story comes to us from China. It says an unnamed passenger has passed on a photograph of what appears to be a UFO stalking a plane. The picture is taken from the window of a commercial passenger jet. The disc-shaped object was captured on a flight from Hong Kong to southwest China's Kunming City last week. A friend of the anonymous passenger, Larry Su, says the picture was passed on to him and was taken by a friend who refused to name. No details or the exact date at which the flight has come to light. All right, let's take a look at this. This is a short video, only 1 minute and 11 seconds long. It says many passengers saw it. All right, there's the location. And there we go. Pretty good picture. How'd you like to be looking at your window of your airplane and see that? All right. Moving from China, we're going to head on over to Green Mountain, Colorado. This was on the 22nd. This interesting photograph of some kind of disc-shaped UFO was taken over Green Mountain in Colorado on Saturday the 22nd at 4:30 p.m. Kind of looks like the other one, doesn't it? What do you think about this picture? Real or fake? Please leave your comment below. All right. Definitely similar to the one we just saw. And we're going to move from there over to Mount Bugarach in France. It says UFO seen over Mount Bugarach Mountain as predicted on the 21st. When local news broadcast about Bugarach Mountain in France was made, little did they know they accidentally caught a UFO hovering over the mountain. This was a prediction by some unknown source causing tens of thousands of people to go to the mountain on the 21st, believing that the UFO would pick them up and take them to a new world. Apparently, the aliens didn't expect so many to come. It is unknown if anyone was actually able to get aboard the craft, but there are reports of many people made it to the top of the mountain, despite police and fire departments blocking off the road to prevent a rush of people, which could cause accidents. And you could see right there's the mountain. And there we have the object flying over, just as many people predicted it would happen on that date. Okay, and let's move from there. We have one more. This is a very interesting. This is a sighting, and this was taken off of the Soho. And as you can see, that large bubble that's moving across the screen. But then look inside the bubble. You see an object that is moving. Okay, so potentially this is an object with a huge force field around it. As this video continues on, you're going to see that it has been run through some filters, so there is something there. Okay, there are those saying that this is just a lens flare, but would a lens flare continue to show up in this type of a filter, or would it have disappeared at this point in time? Good question. Check it out and see. But whatever it is, if this is indeed the case, it is moving closer and closer to us, and we might have an opportunity to see exactly what this is in the very near future. Alright, that's our UFO news for today. Let me jump away for a moment for a song. I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
In 2012, the Baktun will end.
We're going to big
Alright, welcome back. So continuing on, we're going to continue on here with 3-minute news. This is from Suspicious Observers. There we go.
Good morning, folks. Those who know about solar radiation management know part of the idea is to mimic volcanoes. Well, how about volcanoes reacting to the climate rather than merely affecting it? Almost doesn't seem real. To the extreme weather shifts I've mentioned, as part of Antarctica is showing rapid warming. Remember, they set a record for high ice just a few months ago. 5.8 hit the Black Sea off the coast of Georgia, former Soviet, not USA. It's the largest quake there in a very, very long time. The West Canadian coastline took another moderate tremor, and volcanic activity is increasing in Argentina and Chile. Tropical Cyclone 4 technically makes landfall tonight, but the event has begun in Somalia. Flood alerts posted. Europe, the game is simple. Large lows like this drive the weather patterns. Unpredictable shear on the southeast side and shifting rain bands within make checking your local forecast the only real way to know what's coming. USA, it's a bit easier to determine. With Draco gone, it's time for Winter Storm Euclid to take the stage. It's another big one, already creeping over the west coast, causing major wind and precipitation events up north into Canada, with Pacific moisture getting ripped right over the Rockies. Should be some major snow totals when this is done. There is another bit to Euclid that will push through quickly, with the rest right behind it. The convergence line will see severe weather down south tomorrow, with the east coast affected midweek. We'll also take a quick look here at today and tonight's thunderstorm warning zones. Both the neutron and muon monitors show modestly increasing cosmic ray density. Here are the Enlil spirals, Sun in the center, stereo spacecraft on the left, Earth to the right. Top is the solar wind density, bottom is the speed. Now, having just ended a fast coronal hole, speed is low and the density is somewhat elevated, but we have another coronal hole pushing a speedy wind stream right at us. Earth is about to be caught in co-rotating interactive regions. Simply put, sharp changes in solar wind speed, density, and even temperature can be as causative of geomagnetic instability as a coronal hole stream or coronal mass ejection. You can see just how these last 3 days, Earth will come out of one stream, enter calm, and go right back into another. Coming back to the Sun, we absolutely do have a couple dark coronal holes facing Earth. At the 10 o'clock position to that central coronal hole is the primary active region on the Sun. Turning to face Earth directly today, it does hold a beta-gamma magnetic class, which bodes well for large flares, but we just aren't seeing them as of yet. I was hoping that saying no fear wasn't really needed anymore, as the rest of you should be on point now. So let me simply remind you to keep your eyes open. Your mind is your weapon. It's 5:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
Alright, very good. Very good report there. Let's continue on. This next one here comes to us. This is, pull this over. Open this up a bit for you. This is a report kind of going along the lines of what he was saying a little bit more. This says polar collapse imminent as Arctic polar collapse, vortex collapse, Arctic freeze imminent. It says here we are observing the stratospheric temperatures of the 70 MB level, commonly known as one of the lowest levels in the stratosphere. Looking at the 2012 section, we see that the recent stratospheric temperatures have taken an uptick to normal temperatures expressed by the dashed green line. The uptick tells us that the stratosphere is now at average temperature and that the polar vortex is now at average strength. That's a good starting point to tell you what the stratosphere is currently like. Let's continue our analysis of the observation of the stratosphere. This is an animation of the observed temperatures at the 50 MB level, slightly higher up in the air than the 70 MB level over the past month. In late November, we saw a large blob of red appear and propagate into the Arctic Circle. This was a significant stratospheric warning, meaning that warm air from the lower atmosphere was pushed into the stratosphere. This was also shown in the 70 MB chart by the spike that observed temperatures a month ago. I want to dig deeper into the time just before the warm air shot. And okay, so you can see this is a bit of something to pay attention to with the weather. It kind of goes along with the 3-minute report you just heard there. So we do want to pay attention to the weather and what's going on, and just know that anything could happen. All right. All right, moving on, moving on. So, here's an interesting story. Right here, this is NASA plans to lasso an asteroid the size of 2 buses and turn it into a space station to orbit the moon. Is this real? Is this a real story here? The giant bag would be cast over it and it would be towed to a new location. Captured asteroid could provide stepping up stone for exploration of Mars. It would be the first time a celestial object has ever been moved by humans. NASA scientists are planning to capture a 500-ton asteroid, relocate it, and turn it into a space station for astronauts on their way to Mars. While the White House Office of Science and Technology will consider the plan in the coming weeks as it prepares to set its space exploration agenda for the next decade. If approved, it would be the first time a celestial object has ever been moved by humans. So check this article out. It's pretty interesting. Seems to be something directly out of the movies, and well, this seems to something that we'll have to definitely pay attention to. All right, moving on. All right, here is a piece from Christopher Green, Green Wave TV, and we've played his clips from time to time. And as you know, he's very passionate about what he talks about. And this piece, he's particularly passionate about what he has to say. So I'm going to play a part of this video for you because I want you to see exactly what's going on and what it is he has to say here. So check it out.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Green Wave TV, alternative media television. This might be the most important video I've ever released in the history of Green Wave. Over 3 years of doing this, President Barack Obama has just openly announced, officially announced, that starting January 1st, 2013, he will be waging war against the Second Amendment. He will be waging war against our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our Declaration of Independence. Specifically, President Barack Obama will be empowering Vice President Joe Biden to confiscate what they call quote-unquote weapons of war, automatic, semi-automatic weapons, AK-47s. This is an act of war on the American people. I've talked about this for over 3 years now. Not only is President Barack Obama, not only did he bail out the too big to fail banks in 2008, the same financial institutions that have destroyed America, that have ruined our economy, that have ruined everything that this country was founded on, now they are coming and confiscating guns here in the United States of America. President Barack Obama says that the great majority of Americans are for this. The great majority of Americans want to give up their guns. And they're using these inanimate objects. You know these people are idiots. You know that they're insane when they start using inanimate objects and blaming guns for killing people. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. If anything, we should be cutting off Americans' hands now for actually having hands to shoot guns. And nobody is talking about the biggest story. I just dropped a bombshell of a video on Big Pharma, Vanda Pharmaceuticals, Novartis, whether or not this be the Big Pharma in the United States, Merck, Pfizer. These companies, if anyone, is responsible for the murderous agenda and the murderous tragedies that we've seen at Sandy Hook, that we've seen at James Home, the MK CIA PSYOP massacre, or that we've seen in years past with Columbine, Jared Loughner here in Tucson. If anything, it is Big Pharma and the pharmaceutical companies that continue to medicate our children with these SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, that is destroying the minds of our children. If we cared about the children, no way in God's green earth, no way in hell would we be getting rid of the Second Amendment in this country. We would be attacking the pharmaceutical companies. We would be attacking the FDA. There was a report that I cited earlier this morning that said that over 90% of school shootings are related to these psychotropic meds. These kids can't feel. Adam Lanza couldn't feel. His mother, Nancy, was trying to help him. She was worried that she couldn't help him. Adam couldn't feel anything. He was emotionless. In fact, there's accounts and reports from Nancy herself that said that her son was burning himself with a lighter, trying to feel. All of a sudden these people crack. They crack and they go in on these murder rampages. Every single one of them medicated by the pharmaceutical companies here in the United States of America and abroad. Yet not a single politician is talking about this. Not a single mainstream media outlet is talking about this, because that is not the government agenda. This is not Obama's tyranny agenda. His agenda is to disarm America through a full totalitarian takeover of our Constitution, our civil liberties, our Declaration of Independence, our Bill of Rights, and explicitly the Second Amendment. This is an attack on the American people. Our founding fathers would be outraged. Our founding fathers would be ringing the alarm bells right now. Please get this video out to anyone you can. Millions of Americans are now going to be criminalized under the Obama regime. You better hope to God. You better hope to God that the militias here in the United States are armed to the teeth, because we are all about to get a life lesson on self-defense. We're all about to get a life lesson on what it takes to protect freedom and liberty on our land, when a totalitarian dictatorship has taken hold and has gripped the United States Constitution and shredded it and lit it on flames. This is where we are today in America, and this is probably the most important video I've ever produced.
All right. Very good. All right, so something very serious to consider there. I'm going to leave the rest of the video for you because there's another 3-4 minutes of it. Look, we've been talking about this for a long while. You've been hearing this story for a long while. You see how passionate he is about this. Okay? Very important. Excuse me. If you've been paying attention to the various events that are taking place, these shootings, and if you're only listening to the mainstream stories of the news, you're not getting the big picture. There's so much more behind the scenes, so much that points that there were multiple shooters that took place at this Connecticut shooting, that there were other circumstances involved, that there was pre-advanced knowledge of this event taking place. So, as long as Americans continue to believe that everything that the news is telling them is real, they're going to continue to get fooled. But America's about to get a big wake-up call, because they've been asleep and they deny the very information and don't believe when people are telling them the truth. So it's getting to the point that people are going to get what they deserve. And unfortunately, it's going to come to that because people aren't listening when they're getting the warnings. But you know who else they didn't listen to? They didn't listen to Noah when Noah said there was a problem. And we can go throughout history and we can say there are many others that were warning people, but people didn't listen. I guess that's just part of human nature, to not listen to when someone is trying to give you information, because seems that the effect of the other side, the demonic side, has too much influence over people's minds, and people get caught up in that and they stop paying attention. So I don't know what it's going to take. Unfortunately, in this world that we live in, disaster is what it takes for people to wake up, and that's a shame. Earthquakes happen, people go talk to each other. A shooting happens, neighbor talks to each other. Why can't we just get it without having all these problems? We can, but we have to listen to what is going on. We have to pay attention. So I'm going to move on. Check out that video. Check out the rest of it. Listen to what Christopher has to say. Moving on from there. All right, here's another piece. This is Mr. Maverick Star, and this is his piece on talking about the pole shift, as he's been talking about. Now, you've heard, and we've played many videos of his. Last week, if you recall, he talked about the Jupiter and how Jupiter has apparently shifted, that the rings used to go across in one direction and now it was flipped. The line was going across in another direction. Well, interestingly enough, a couple days ago, actually 2 days ago, I was at spaceweather.com, and I went and I was watching one of the stories there was talking about this upcoming planetary alignment where we'll be able to see Jupiter and the Moon together. And as it went on to show the video, the first clips of Jupiter were exactly in the same way Mr. Maverick Star's video had showed, with the line going from top right down to the left. But then as the video went on, the image changed to the image that we've seen before, with it going just straight across. And then shortly after that, when I went to try to find that video yesterday, it was gone. So something is going on out there that is not being reported to the general public or is being covered up. Does this have anything to do with the object that was seen moving through space with this apparent large force field around it? I don't know. Let's check out the video, see what you think.
As old, but I just really wanted to point out something here, that when Jupiter lost its lower belt, that what it actually lost was a jet stream. And I'm just thinking, you know, there's got to be something affecting the weather system in the UK, as well as the rest of the world, really. It's not just the weather system in the UK. I mean, I've really noticed it this year. I mean, it doesn't seem like we get many days where we don't get rain over here. It probably is not the case, but it seems that way. But I've noticed the ground just recently is completely saturated. It's not holding no more water. You know, it's like a sponge that is full with water. It's got nowhere left to go. So it's just running off the surface now. But you can see from these two pictures that the jet stream did disappear off Jupiter, and you know, if that was to take place on this planet, if we was to lose either the north polar jet stream or the northern subtropical jet stream, I'm just wondering what effects that would have on the planet. And maybe that is the case. You know, there is no evidence out there to gather to rebut these claims, so that they're just claims. But you know, when I was talking a few weeks ago with regards to the 40 degrees you know, point at which the magnetic pole on the northern hemisphere would be likely to shift, that being because it's no longer in the strong magnetic field lines, it's in the weaker magnetic field lines. But on this, I showed you that Siberia would be getting colder and Australia would be getting warmer, because we can see the equatorial region of the Earth is one of the hottest. So if you shift the jet streams just 20 degrees round, you bring colder weather to Siberia, hotter weather to Australia, colder weather to Australia, and warmer weather to Canada, because of this you know, 20 degree shift that we've experienced so far on the planet, with the pole migrating 1,200 miles. So I'm going to suggest that not only is the jet streams shifting 20 degrees, this is a theory, guys, so don't, you know, attack me for it, it's just a theory. We know that the pole, the magnetic north pole, has shifted 20 degrees. I'm suggesting not only has it took with it or dragged the jet streams 20 degrees over, I'm also suggesting now that the currents inside the Earth that create the magnetic field are starting to affect volcanoes and earthquakes, because if we go back into the records, as I showed you in the last few videos, we could see there was clear evidence that since 1990 the occurrence of volcanic activity had increased all over the world, and earthquakes had not only increased in numbers, but the magnitude had also gone up. So the earthquakes are more common now, over 6.5 magnitude. So you know, I'm just suggesting that. And the reason why I'm suggesting that is because I put down here, right, Argentina, didn't I, guys? So if I just go to one of the stories that I've been looking at this morning, well, first of all, if I go to this one here, you can see that on the news this morning there was an alert because a volcano erupts on Chile-Argentina border, and I'll try and put the links down there for you guys. But you know, there's obviously a video to watch there. It's obviously serious. This thing has recently erupted, and you know, they're trying to organise, I believe, an evacuation for those nearing villages there. But the other thing was, right, now I know that is not a coincidence, because I did mention that Argentina would be one of these countries that would be feeling these effects. I also said Siberia would be feeling colder weather, and the other article that I found on the news that was recently covered is this one, and it talks about a story of you know, a guy bringing boiling water out in Siberia and it freezing within minutes, and that they're saying that the weather has been responsible just in the last few days for killing people over there, and you know, causing disruption, you know, as well as a multitude of other things. But you know, I did say that this would be the case. Siberia would be feeling, you know, colder weather.
All right, so I'm going to leave that for you to listen to the rest of it. There's another about just a little less than 5 minutes to go. It's about a 10-minute video. Very important information. Again, changes are taking place that are out in the world. All right, this next video here, it's called 3 out of 10 people are awakening. So as we all know, we crossed through the ecliptic a couple of days ago. We ended one cycle, began another cycle. Now, the interesting thing is I've been going through the forums and I've been checking out what people are saying there. And as expected, there's a lot of people who are just saying, oh, nothing happened, and what a hoax the day was, and how the Mayans pull a hoax over on everybody, and blah, blah, blah. And it's a shame that there's so many closed-minded individuals out there that just are so locked into a way of thinking that they can't really see the forest through the trees. I mean, many people bought in to the Hollywood interpretation of 2012. And many of those same people that bought into the Hollywood interpretation didn't bother to even check out what the Mayans actually had to say about that day, or actually anyone had to say about the day other than the Hollywood movie. Hollywood movies are made to sensationalize events. They are not necessarily truthful events. Sometimes there are bits of truth placed in with the movies, but Hollywood is not about putting out the truth to you. That's not their main agenda. It's to entertain you. So the movie 2012 used a lot of things within the movie to entertain you, to frighten you, to get you to the theater to buy tickets. And guess what? A lot of people bought a lot of tickets because they saw the doom and gloom. People are addicted to doom and gloom. However, those who have been paying attention know that something has changed, because you are feeling a shift in the energy. You are seeing that there is a shift in consciousness, and you see that there is something positive taking place. We did end a cycle, and we are beginning a new cycle. That has happened. So rather than focusing on what didn't happen, it's important to focus on what did happen. So in that regard, this piece talks about such things. So let's check it out. Here we go.
Three out of every 10 people I meet that I've never met before. Maybe even four. When I strike up a conversation with them and I'm able to connect with them, 3 or 4 out of 10 are aware of what our government is. They don't understand all the dynamics of exactly what is going on, but they understand that our government is a criminal entity. About 3 out of every 10. Now, I don't socialize with a lot of people, so I don't know if that's a factor, but I meet a lot of people when I go to auctions, estate sales, that kind of thing. And I strike up conversations with people, as you can imagine. Buying some stuff to sell. And standing there, start talking to this one girl. And then another couple of people kind of, when they heard our conversation, they came over and stood next to us. And we all started talking. And though they're not aware of the facts like we are, maybe, but what they are aware is that our government is not just the old adage corrupt. Okay? Our government is trying to enslave us. They understood that. How many out of 10, think about it, new people you meet, not people you already know and not family. Mark family off the list, okay? We're talking about new people you meet. How many out of 10 are y'all guys running into and actually trying to start a conversation? Now, if you're not trying to start the conversation, you're never going to know if the person's awake, because they're scared to say anything to you about it because they don't want you to think they're crazy. So if you are a person that does approaching or brings up the conversation when you're talking to people, tell me how many out of 10 are you finding awake?
All right. Good question. I'm sure we're all dealing with that indeed. We're all dealing with a lot of individuals in life at different levels of awareness of what's going on. But how many are awake? It's a good question. All right. Before we go, one of the things we're going to do our meditation next, I want to let you know I'm building a page over at the website firstcontactradio.com, and at that page you'll have an opportunity to list your experience you had from December 21st. I'd like to start gathering this information so see what we can learn from it, because I've heard a lot of different reports, people having different physical experiences and sensations to spiritual experiences. There was a whole gamut of things that took place. So when we discount all of those who are skeptical about what happened and say nothing happened, we're not talking about those. I'm talking about those who are open and experienced something. I'd like to know what it is you've experienced, and that way we'll all be able to read through and look at what other people's experiences are. Perhaps we'll find that others had experiences similar to what we had. All right, so firstcontactradio.com, on the right, on the top of the page, you'll see a link that says December 21st. It's a tab right next to the contact tab. It's on the just look top of the page, and it'll take you to a place where you can go ahead and you'll be able to put down your thoughts. Still building the page, getting it set up, so if it's not ready to go right yet, just be patient. It will be up, and you'll be able to do that. All right, very last thing for today. Here's our meditation. So, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and close your eyes and relax. Close your eyes and relax. Now, what I'd like you to do, as we have our eyes closed, let's take a deep breath and exhale. And let's imagine, first of all, that all of our chakras are activated. All those energy centers within us activated with and processing the energy available. So at the bottom of the spine we have the red chakra. Above that, orange, just right at the belly button area. And then below the rib cage, yellow. And from there we go to the chakra above at the heart space. The chakra at the heart space. And there, imagine the color green. And from the green heart chakra, we send the energy up higher to the throat. Imagine the color blue. From the blue throat chakra up to the third eye, right between color violet, and finally to the crown chakra, indigo, and the light continues up into the cosmos as bright white. Let's imagine ourselves seated in this energy as it streams from the cosmos and streams from the earth. Let's honor our connection that all that is, was, and ever shall be. Now, from our heart chakra, let's open our heart chakra and make sure it's fully open and we're sending out love. Sending out love because at this time we're all going through a cleansing phase. We're at a new beginning, we're figuring our way through. And let's just allow this love to go around the earth, color the earth, and take whatever confusions or frustrations we have and transmute them into something positive. Let's imagine as this love goes around the world that everybody is affected by it in a positive way and is able to use this energy to transmute whatever problems they are having in their lives. And all I want to do is just keep ourselves unconsciously focused on this issue of sending out love. And let's just continue to do that and let that process happen unconsciously while our conscious mind brings our energy and attention back to the present moment. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. All right. There you have it. There's our show for today, our prayer meditation. Thank you very much for being here. Just remember just to keep going inside. Learn more about what's going on. Next couple of days, I'm going to take some time off. Enjoy the holiday a little bit here, and I'll be back later on in the week. Just keep focusing on love and paying attention to what's going on in the world. Links are available to all the information today, so check it out, see what you think, and that's it. Have a Merry Christmas, and I'll be back soon. Peace. I'm out of here.